Hello, and a very good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Anushri Mittal from NASSCOM FutureSkills team. I welcome you all to today's session on e-commerce, how to build profitable business in a competitive market. NASSCOM FutureSkills is doing in association with Digital Vidya. Thank you all for sparing your precious time to attend this session led by Mr. Chandan Singh. He will take you through a step-by-step guided process, which will help you not only to identify the right product mix, but also to determine top procurement and marketing strategies. Chandan has been working with businesses and entrepreneurs to develop and implement digital marketing strategies, enabling them to focus on what lights up their business. Chandan currently works for a leading SaaS organization where he has combined his deep passion for search engine marketing with product strategy and iterative product development. I would just request everyone that please, if you have any questions, post them during the webinar in the chat box or in the question box, and these will be answered either at the end of the session or if the speaker wants, can take it during the session as well. Over to you, Mr. Chandan.
Yeah, thank you so much, and very good evening to all of you. I hope I am audible, so just give me a quick heads up by typing in the questions panel. So just let me know if you guys can hear me and if you can see me as well as the screen.
Yes, all good.
All right, perfect. So once again, I welcome everybody on board on this session for e-commerce. We'll talk about Shopify and drop shipping for the most part. So let's get on ahead. The introductions are over. The introduction was done by the NASSCOM team. So yeah, once again, I welcome everybody, and yeah, let's jump into the session straight away. Let's keep it as interactive as possible as we go forward. So please use the questions panel for anything that you have in mind. Try to keep things related to what we are doing on screen so that we can ensure a consistent flow. Any other question that you have, we will have a separate Q&A section towards the end for any type of a question that you may have, right? So with that said, let's jump into the presentation straight away. So let me bring my PPT into focus now. All right. So introduction to e-commerce. I know you guys are pretty much aware of the e-commerce, the concepts, and most of you are probably looking for inroads into this niche. You're probably kind of thinking about how do you really get started with your own e-commerce business or your brand, be it a software product or be it a tangible product. So hopefully this webinar would demystify a lot of these questions for you. Will help you understand how exactly you can get started. So this is me, Chandan Kumar Singh, your host for this webinar. Let's move ahead. So before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this webinar, let's quickly take a look at the growth of e-commerce in India. I know there's some stats which are going to come up. Most of you are probably already aware of it. So we will kind of skip past that as quickly as possible. But yes, it's important for everybody to understand if you have any slight confusion in mind as to whether e-commerce is something you should get into at this point in time, and if you've been wondering if COVID has had any specific impact on the e-commerce scene in India as well as globally, you can go ahead and ask those questions, because I do have some stats on that as well. So this is probably one of the most important numbers that I came across when I was kind of preparing for this webinar. So post COVID-19, e-commerce has witnessed more than 17% growth, and a lot of it is thanks to brands kind of switching over to the online model now. They have been brands who were kind of reluctant to go online before the COVID thing, they've had no other option but to get online. Obviously, can't do much about it when most people are not really visiting any stores anymore and are shopping online now. COVID-19 has actually, it obviously has been a dampener for a lot of industries, but when it comes to e-commerce, it has actually fueled the growth pretty much. Some screenshots from some leading newspapers which have been talking about this. And then some quick numbers right here. So e-commerce market in India is all set to grow at an annual growth rate of about 20% from now all the way up to 2023, and it's expected to reach about 7 trillion by 2023 in just a couple of years. So those are some really big numbers out here. And because COVID-19 has definitely fueled this a shift from in-store to online. People obviously want to avoid exposure. People are not really that keen on going, visiting stores right now, and they prefer cashless transactions over the internet these days. So, e-commerce payments have already seen a big jump and are really set to record a steep increase by about 26% in this is a slightly old number, 2020 itself, and we have actually reached those numbers now that we just got into 2021. Some trends that have been observed. E-commerce has not really just recovered, but it has actually witnessed, a growth, like I already mentioned a while ago, by about 17%. Buying patterns of consumers and their own preferences have definitely changed quite a bit, with the rise of first-time online shoppers. And once e-commerce resumed operations somewhere in the mid of 2020, the return rate has seen a dip. And by return rate, I mean return of people returning to actual stores now, and that has actually spilled over to the online arena. So people have been going online. People have been buying directly from brands' websites, and brands obviously are strengthening their online capabilities, and people are not really afraid to shop online, these days. So obviously the numbers look good enough. So the question that might be on some of your minds would be, all right, that looks good. How do I get started with this? Now, if you ask this question, let's say about 8 or 10 years ago, the answer would have been pretty difficult, right? Because getting into e-commerce about 8 to 10 years ago was really very difficult. With so many challenges, with so many problems that were existing at that point in time, right from setting up stores to getting online, and then payment gateways, and there were a ton of issues, a ton of problems that you would face back in those times. But now, thanks to technology, and thanks to some brilliant platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce, it's actually a piece of cake to get started. But you still need a good plan to get started, and that's what we will talk about going forward. So let's kind of hear from you guys. How many of you are already into the e-commerce space, or at least thinking about it? So let's get you guys to get a little bit more interactive. All right, so let's hear from all of your attendees. You can use the questions panel to type your questions. Okay, I'm not sure if I have the required access, because I don't really see any questions unless nobody is typing. All right, looks like I don't have access to the questions panel.
Can I just interrupt Chandan? Hello?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Chandan, you have the access? You can see the questions?
1 second. Oh, yes, I can see it now. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So I can see some of the questions. Ananta said, please share recording of this webinar. Yes, Ananta, it's being recorded. So yes, you will have access to it. Hami says already in e-commerce. Ali says heading to e-commerce. Okay, not really sure what that means. Ali Manohar. How many of you are really looking forward to get into it? You've been thinking about launching an online store, or maybe you have an idea of a product or a service that you want to get online, and you've been wondering, like, how really do you get started? How many of you are here? Hiresh is one. Great. Georgie says thinking about an online service. All right, that looks good. Sounds interesting. All right, come on, guys. I mean, there are a lot of people in the room, so let's hear from all of you. I'm sure all of you are interested in e-commerce, and that's really why you're here. So some of you might already have launched a store and maybe thinking of moving to a better platform. So please jump into the conversation. Let's keep it as engaging, as interactive as possible. You know, let's keep it fun. Let's not have it just one way, me talking to you, right? So anyway, I'll move ahead. So like I said, some of the most common questions that some of you might have is, one, I've been thinking of launching or going online, but how do I really get started? Is it really complex? Can I do it? You know, I don't have any programming experience. I don't know how to code. Would I need help? You know, that's a question that a lot of you might have. Some of you might be thinking, is it really very expensive to get into? Some of you might have heard of Shopify, for example, and might be looking to see if that is an answer to some of your problems. Some of you might have heard of dropshipping. You're like, okay, I don't have a product, but I have seen people start e-commerce stores with something called dropshipping. So is that something useful? Now, and now that I mentioned dropshipping, let's hear from you guys. How many of you understand what dropshipping is? There's a question from Rajesh. Is it worth building SaaS-based application now, something like Shopify? Always, Rajesh. Let me tell you something that's really important here. The question is not really whether you should be building an application based on, like you mentioned, Shopify. The real question should be, is there an existing need for a product or a service or a solution, right? Remember one thing, people don't buy brands or products anymore. People buy solutions to their problems. People buy answers to their questions. So if you can create something that solves a very specific problem, yes, that will definitely work out. So your question, again, I'll repeat your question for everybody's benefit again. Your question was, is it worth building SaaS-based application now, something like Shopify? And the answer is yes. If your product solves an existing need, if your problem, if there's a problem that you can see existing and your product can solve it, definitely, why not? If you see there's a problem with Shopify, for example, which I think you will not find. But yes, if you think that there's a problem that you can solve, yes, why not? Go ahead, definitely. Coming back to my question on dropshipping, I didn't get too many responses. So how many of you know what dropshipping is? One your question was, how many of you do not know dropshipping? How many of you know what dropshipping is? Okay, so Georgie knows. Prior to this, I had a response only from Sneha who said not known yet. So once again, very few people responding. Guys, come on, jump into the conversation, right? Remember, there is no wrong or right answer. You know, we're all here to learn, and the more you talk, the more you ask, the more the session is going to be useful. So please do that. Hiresh says dropshipping, I do not know. Matthew says yes, I know. Hamish also knows it. So some of you do, some of you don't. Elizabeth says not a clue. Could you explain what it is? I definitely will, Elizabeth. We have a whole long section on dropshipping. Ali says business to customer. Not really. I mean, drop-shipping doesn't really have to do with B2C, but yes, if you're asking something else, do let me know. Mano says recently heard of dropshipping. All right, so I'm sure there are a lot of questions around dropshipping, so we will talk about that going forward. So yeah, let's jump into it. You know, now that the stage is set, now that we know that there are a lot of, most of you are obviously interested in e-commerce. So yeah, like I said, some questions that you might have, I mentioned some of them. Dropshipping is definitely one of them. So we will go ahead and take a look at that as well. Param has a very good answer to this, saying dropshipping is selling without owning. Yeah, that's correct. That's one of the best ways to put it. But yeah, let's go into that in detail. Now, selling online or starting your e-commerce store. When you think about it, there are literally two different kind of options you have. One, you can use a existing third-party channel or a third-party platform to start selling, and that would include shops like Amazon or Flipkart or Paytm or eBay, or there are tons of them all around the world. And these are existing marketplaces, right? Amazon, for example, is a third-party marketplace. It's an existing marketplace, and you pretty much don't have to do anything to get started with Amazon, right? You simply sign up as a seller on Amazon, you list your products, and that's it. You just get started, right? So no hassle of setting up your own platform. No coding. You don't even have to work for traffic, because Amazon already gets a bunch of traffic, and it's easy to get started, right? But the problem again is it's a crowded marketplace. I mean, most of these third-party marketplaces are crowded marketplaces. There are a number of sellers trying to sell the same product. There's a lot of competition. And one of the biggest problems with selling on a third-party marketplace like Amazon is that you don't get to build your own brand. So if you're trying to create a business of your own, if you're trying to create a brand of your own, Amazon or Flipkart or any of these third-party marketplaces won't really be the solution. So what else have you got? You have got an option of setting up your own platform, right? So instead of going to a third-party platform like Amazon, you set up your own store on on platforms like Shopify or WooCommerce or Magento. There are a ton of these available, and it's actually very simple to get started. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you the benefits of some of these as we go along. We are primarily going to talk about Shopify today, because when it comes to setting up your own platform, Shopify happens to be the easiest, full-featured platform that you would love to get into. But yeah, that will come in just a moment. So let's move ahead. So the agenda for today's webinar is going to be we'll talk about e-commerce and of course the entrepreneurial mindset. What will you need to get started? What kind of a mindset you need to get into this business. We'll talk about the different business models that are available, and drop shipping, of course, is a key discussion for now. We'll talk about drop shipping. We'll talk about choosing specific products. Now, this is for those who are thinking about getting into the e-commerce space because they've heard about Shopify, they've heard about drop shipping, but they really don't have an idea of what products to go for. So I'll talk about that. I'll give you some ideas on how to pick products for a brand new e-commerce store and how to see if they can be profitable or not. And of course, we'll end this discussion with a brief talk about how do you scale these with ads, what do you really need to take your store to the next level. All right, so we'll begin with talking about, like I said, some of you are already into this space, most of you are trying to enter this space. So we'll talk about how do you choose the correct e-commerce business model. And of course, I'll talk about what models are available and which ones should you be going for. How to pick a target audience, how to pick a product, and then get started with your own journey into e-commerce. So this is what we will do. Let's start by talking about e-commerce business models, right? And if you're trying to get started, there will be multiple objectives. For some of you, speed might be a criteria. You want to get as, not speed, but profitability might be a criteria. So you might want to get profitable as quickly as possible. For some, it's a question about minimum investment and yet making a decent amount of profit. So profitability, if that's on your mind, we have a business model for that. If you're talking about building your own brand, for example, if you're trying to create a stable source of revenue, that could be one of your objectives, or you might just want to get started as quickly as possible. You already have maybe an idea for an awesome product and you just want to see how to get started. So these could be the different objectives you may have, and based on that, we have a lot of different e-commerce models that you may consider. So let's quickly take a look at some of them. Drop shipping is one of them. Now there's a whole section dedicated to drop shipping, so we'll come to that. So let me start off by kind of mentioning all the different models that we have. We will be mostly focusing on drop shipping because that's perfectly easy to get started with. It's not very expensive, and in terms of time, you could get started in a couple of weeks, to be honest. Reselling is another business model that you may consider. Now, I think most of you are aware of reselling. We won't be talking about any of these business models, but I just want to mention this. So reselling is where you buy a specific product from somebody and then you sell it for a profit, of course. So most of the shop owners, for example, that you find online, not online, but physical stores, even online, are kind of trying to reselling. So they get the stuff from manufacturers for slightly lower profits and profit, and then sell it for slightly higher price. White labeling, again, there are some white label companies available. So you can buy your product without any logo or branding, and then you can apply your own branding over it. So you don't really need to manufacture anything over here. You can get access to products. There are white label manufacturers available. So you just get the product from them, and you simply apply your own logo, apply your own branding, and you can start selling it. So that's an option. Manufacturing, of course, probably the most difficult. If you are manufacturing your own products, of course, e-commerce is going to be a great option for you. But again, with manufacturing, again, there are a lot of challenges. You have to set up, manufacturing units. You have to set up warehouses, and tons of other challenges. And finally, making it yourself. Now, this is where services would fit in. So if you have created something, now I'm not saying only services fall in this section, but if you are building something on your own, it could be a software, it could be a tangible object, but yes, making it yourself is an option. If you're building something and if you're trying to get it online, that's again a wonderful option. We've, like I said, we'll be focusing mainly on dropshipping for today. Given the time we have, I've chosen to discuss one of the most common ways to get started into e-commerce, and that is dropshipping. But yes, these other options are there in case you are interested. So with dropshipping, some of the important things to consider would be how quickly, or I'm choosing dropshipping because it takes into consideration these points. How quickly or easily can you get started? And the answer is really quickly. Dropshipping also allows you to move from one model to another. So you can start with dropshipping, but then move on to let's say a manufacturing option. And I'll show you some brands which have actually done this over time. Creating a brand for yourself. So again, if you're with dropshipping, it allows you to build a brand for yourself. And I'll show you several examples of this going forward as well. So let's jump into dropshipping. What exactly is dropshipping? So some of you said you don't know, some of you had a decent idea about it. So dropshipping is defined as a fulfillment method where you as the store, you don't really manufacture or keep any of the products with yourself. Okay, you're basically in touch. You basically get into a partnership with a third-party manufacturer. These are called suppliers, by the way. So you work with a supplier, and what happens is you have an online store where you list all the products. People buy from your store, but then you that order is fulfilled by this third-party supplier. So it's a supplier who will actually ship the product to this to the customer. So to understand this, we will take a look at this model with an example. So let me quickly switch to my browser here, and I'll give you an example of a business that is doing drop shipping, and and that will help you understand how exactly this works. So I'm going to open a site called blendjet.com. If you have been active on Facebook, you might have seen ads for this product. They have been like pretty recently. They have been promoting their product very heavily in India. It's actually a portable blender where you can create smoothies while on the go. A wonderful product here. Now, the way these guys are actually working is they don't manufacture this product at all. Okay, where are they getting this product from? What they're really doing is drop shipping, and they're actually getting their product from a third-party service which is in China actually, and that's called Alibaba. So if I go to Alibaba and if I search for portable blender, you can see the exact same product right here. And if I open this, in fact, there are a ton of them. You can make it out. It's exactly the same product. So if I open up, let's say one of them, you can see that this is the exact same product, and this actually is the actual price of this is priced at $4.5. If somebody is buying less than 10,000 pieces, for more than 10,000, it's actually $4. So let's check what this guy is actually selling it for. So if I go back to BlendJet, and if I try to get mine, let's choose, okay, it's the price is showing up in Indian rupees. So it's roughly 3,799 rupees, right? Roughly about 3,800, while this is costing this guy about $4.50. That is what, about 350 rupees, right? So this guy is actually getting the product for about 350 rupees from the supplier here, and he is selling it for almost like 3,800, almost 10 times the profit, right? More than 10 times actually. So this is a very good example of a drop shipping model. So what happens is, when I buy this product, for example, if I go ahead and add to cart, and then if I make the payment with PayPal or whatever, once I buy this product, I'll pay this guy 3,800 rupees. Now what this guy will do is, he will send my details, like my address and my name, to this guy in China, right? It could be one of these guys. I mean, anyone. They've got lots of sellers here, so it could be any one of these guys. So he sends my details to this this particular person, and then I need to pay this guy the price. So maybe $6 or $4, depending on who my supplier is. So I pay the 350 rupees to this guy, and then this guy actually ships the product to my to me. Okay. So once again, if I buy this, the owner of the site, he will actually send the details, my details, to his supplier in China. Then the owner then pays 350 rupees also to the supplier, and then the supplier actually ships it to me. Okay, and that is called drop shipping. I don't even have to see the product, to be honest. I don't even have to own the product. No inventory needed, no warehouses needed. I just have a store online, and this store is where I'm just listing the product with my own brand name, by the way. Okay, one other thing that happens in this whole process is that these suppliers, the suppliers are like manufacturers as well. So for them, it is very easy to also put a sticker on them. You can see, if I open, if I kind of zoom in the image, that it does not say BlendJet over here, because BlendJet is a brand created by the owner of this site. So the supplier, when he before shipping the product to me, he's also able to apply the BlendJet logo on this particular particular device. So once again, this the owner of the site, let's call them BlendJet guys. So the BlendJet guys, before they started this business, they found a good seller on Alibaba, for example, and they got into discussion with the guys. They said, okay, you know what, you have to apply our logo on the product and send it to our customers without any branding, without any of your branding. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So all the discussion happened in the beginning, and then these guys launched their website. Now, there may be a few questions as to why would somebody buy from BlendJet right here? It's a very common question. I'm surprised nobody has asked this yet. But a very common question would be, why would somebody buy this from blendjet.com if they can buy it for 350 rupees from this site? Now, this is where the branding comes into picture, right? The example would be, you can go ahead and buy a good quality shoe from one of your local stores out there. I think every city has a local market where you can buy a good, decent shoe, for example. But still, people go ahead and go to stores like Nike and Adidas and buy it for almost 10 times, even 20 times, or sometimes even 50 times the price. Why do they do that? That's the power of branding. So this guy has obviously gone in and created a brand for himself, right? So while Alibaba might seem like a generic Chinese product which might not be effective, BlendJet 2, with all the branding, all the nice videos and images and all the branding that has been created, sounds like an awesome product, right? So this is the difference. This is what branding can create. The other question would be, this is something I get a lot of times, is what if these guys know that that this guy is selling it for like 10 times the price? They obviously know it. This is something that they are already aware of. These guys are manufacturers and they are here for drop shipping. You see this 100 to 10,000 pieces. Do you think they're selling it to individuals? Obviously not. They're selling it to brands, and they know that the brands are selling it for, I mean, the other brands are selling it for a much higher price. They're completely okay with this. They're perfectly fine with this. This is the whole drop shipping ecosystem that has been created, and they are perfectly aware of this. So once again, I buy from here. These guys don't even handle the shipping, nothing at all. All the shipping and everything else is being handled by the guys over here on Alibaba.com. So when I get this product, to be honest, I'll not even know that this product was shipped to me from China. I will get a product which is packaged in a nice BlendJet, packaging, along with everything that says BlendJet. None of this Chinese branding would be there. Let's take a look at some questions which have come in the meanwhile. Georgie says, what about the branding, BlendJet, and the delivery time frame? So again, Georgie, a lot of questions. I think I kind of answered that while I was going forward, right? So I think I answered that question. You see, the branding BlendJet won't be engraved on the item. No, it can be. The sellers can, the suppliers can actually do this. BlendJet's, there's a question from Elizabeth saying, BlendJet's site claims that they have a patent on turbojet technology. How can they have a patent for a product that they're not manufacturing? I'll come back to this, Elizabeth, because this is something I was definitely planning to discuss. And remember a while ago when I was talking about this, I mentioned one important consideration. That was this. Let me kind of go back up a little bit. This one. Moving from one model to another. So I'll come back to this. I'll come back to talking about this. In fact, let's do it right now since you asked this question. So when I mentioned this moving from one model to another, this is exactly what I meant, and this was the exact example that I wanted to take. So these guys actually started by doing drop shipping like this. So they were actually getting all of their products from Alibaba. I basically spoken to these guys as well on a common dropshipping forum a long time ago. But once their business grew, and these guys have grown like anything, they're now shipping to more than 25 countries now. It should have increased, I guess. And now what they have done is they started off with dropshipping like this, and once they grew profitable, they actually started manufacturing it on their own. So they moved from a dropshipping model to manufacturing model. And that is what I really wanted to point out here as well. So starting off with drop shipping is something that does not cost anything, and that is something I will show you in just a moment. But yeah, Elizabeth, I hope that answered your question. I mean, you're just one step ahead of me, because I was definitely planning to talk about it as well. Rajesh says, did Alibaba get bulk order from BlendJet or individual? Usually, I mean, mostly, Rajesh, the orders will happen in bulk, because what happens is, let's say in one day, this site gets like, and this is a very popular site, to be honest, they run ads all over the world. And let's say in one day, these guys get, let's say 500 orders, for example. So at the end of the day, the owner of BlendJet, the BlendJet guys will send the list of all the 500 people to the supplier, okay? With obviously, different, with the individual addresses, of course, and the supplier has to ship it individually to different people. So that's already there. But yeah, they don't usually send it one by one. They will send all the orders towards the end of the day. Right, so that's what dropshipping is, and there's so many examples. Here's one more. Let me show you one more, site that does dropshipping. Hey Silky Skin. This is something that is very popular again. One other guy who I met at one of these Shopify, conventions actually. So this guy is actually one of the best known names for IPL hair removal devices. And once again, this comes from Alibaba. So if I go to the site and look for IPL laser hair removal device, there you go, IPL hair removal, laser hair removal, and you'll see this one, exact same product, right? So this one comes for about $35. There you go, $35 to $36 for less than 1,000 pieces. And if I go to shop now, you'll see the price would be somewhere in the range of what? $139, right? So once again, about 5 times the price, right? So they're getting it for $36 right here. and selling it for 139. Once again, when I buy from here, these guys just have to send my details to this guy over here, and he will ship it to me along with their branding. Obviously, for branding, they will charge slightly more, which is obvious. But again, if they're doing in bulk, to be honest, branding does not cost a lot to these guys. These are manufacturers. Simply putting a logo on the device will absolutely not be a problem at all. So this is yet another example of drop shipping, and I'll show you some more as we go along. You'll see how common this is to once I talk about product selection, you'll see how common and how popular drop shipping has become these days. But yeah, we'll start off by talking about benefits, of course. Mano says, which is one of the most successful drop shipping story? Okay, you're looking for stories. I do have one which I'll show you, but the couple which I showed you are already big stories. BlendJet, Hazel Kiskin, they're all there, but there's something called Wayfair, which I'll show you in just a moment. What about pricing sticker from China? Ale, this is what I mentioned a while ago. Yes, you can ask the supplier to put your sticker on or put your logo on the products. It's possible, it can be done. Manoj has a very interesting question. Who takes care of warranties after sales customer service? So this is a challenge with dropshipping. Okay, so let me come back to the challenges section, and there we will talk about it. Okay, so returns or refunds or warranties, that they are actually a challenge. So we will talk about it. Don't worry. Plus, there's something in the chat, a couple of links that you can use to learn more about building your own online store, and obviously working towards getting your first 100 sales. So we will talk about it. Anveshi has a question. How effective is dropshipping for multi-brand e-commerce? I'm thinking of a scenario where a cart has multiple items, each coming from different suppliers. Does Shopify account for that? Yes, absolutely. So a very good question, Anveshi. There are two models available when you talk about setting up Shopify stores. One is to create your a single product store. The advantage with a single product store is that you can focus on building that one brand. So if you have done your product research, and if you are feeling comfortable, if you're absolutely sure that this is something that will work very well, you can go ahead and set up a store for that. So single product stores, in my experience and in my personal opinion, tend to work better rather than general stores where you have a bunch of products. Now, that is not to say that general stores will not work. They do. I have a couple of examples going forward, but it's kind of easier to start with single product stores, because what that does is you're able to create a brand and your entire focus is on building that specific brand. So these two, BlendJet, for example, and then Hazel Kiskin are good examples. And the idea is you can actually scale and add other related products going forward. For example, BlendJet, like I said, started off with offering only these blenders, but as time went by, they started adding jet packs. So jet packs are basically these, pouches, these, these portable packets for smoothie recipes. Actually, you just dump it into the blender, add some water, blend, and you're done. So you don't even have to have fruits. They have all these different flavors now. So you can see banana and blueberries and all that stuff. So strawberries, they got a bunch of them. So that is something they have added. I think even Hazel Kiskin added a couple of other products. Maybe they removed it because it might not have worked that well. But yeah, even they had a couple of other products. But anyway, we will come back to this because, like I said, a lot of this discussion will be around, so you now might be thinking, okay, how do I really get started? This seems like really interesting. Can I do this? Obviously you can. And that's what we will talk about. And yeah, we'll take a lot of any other question that you have, which might be in your mind. Of course, we'll take a lot of them towards the end. So don't worry, we will answer every single question before you get started. So yeah, that's what drop shipping is. Again, a quick review. The customer goes to your website and places an order for a specific product that your site is selling. Your website then goes ahead and sends that information to the supplier. Okay, and your website, like I said, forwards all the details. Remember that you will have to pay to the supplier only after the customer has paid to you. So you already have the money. It's like absolutely no expenses on your end at all. Customer has already paid like 10 times or 5 times, however you are charging, has already paid you for that money, and then you take a small part of that money and pay it to the supplier, and then the supplier goes ahead and ships the product directly to the customer. And more often than not, he will also be happy to put your branding, your logos, and your branding materials on the product and the packaging and so on. Okay. Here she is. What about customs? Will be paying for it with the customs from China or the country. So there are of course solutions for that also, Irish. We will talk about that. So let me just get into that in a little while. I have slides for all of them. Don't worry. I know what are the most common questions are. Anveshi says, when I mentioned multi-brand store, I meant more like aggregator on an e-marketplace. Is dropshipping still the right model to start with? You're talking about aggregation. Even Shopify is perfectly suitable for that. You can work with multiple suppliers or multiple manufacturers. There's absolutely no problem with that. If I'm getting your question right. If not, you can probably explain again. But yes, if you want to act like an aggregator, Shopify is still the perfect option for that. All right, let's quickly talk about the benefits of dropshipping as well as some disadvantages. I'm going to be perfectly fair and give you both sides of the coin. Although I honestly feel, because I've launched so many stores, not just for myself, but for a lot of my clients and students as well. So we will talk about some of the benefits of dropshipping as well as some of the disadvantages, of course. And for some reason, I lost my mouse. So yeah, there you go. So it's one of the biggest reasons or biggest benefits of dropshipping is that it offers a very low barrier to entry. It's extremely flexible, extremely easy to get started. You have to, as low as, I think I mentioned this, yeah, as low as 900 rupees is all you can get started for. You can even do it for free if you want. If you're into the trial mode, I'll talk about this in just a moment, but you absolutely do not need any starting capital for this, and you can practically get started in like less than a day if you want, for as low as rupees 900. And there's no minimum order barrier when it comes to dropshipping. You can find suppliers who are willing to ship to even one person if that is what you are interested in. So Rajesh says, is boat dropshipping? No, boat guys manufacture their own stuff. They actually started off with a similar model, but now boat has started manufacturing it. So there was a story that came out recently. I'm not sure, I don't remember where, but they actually started off not really drop shipping. They actually got in touch with the manufacturer. It was more like white labeling. So they started by getting in touch with the manufacturer, and then they were applying their own logos on top of it. And now eventually they have grown big, and they have moved on to manufacturing it themselves. So again, the first benefit, one of the most important ones, is that there's a very low barrier to entry. It's extremely simple, extremely easy to get started. Okay, there are more questions coming in. Okay, we'll hang on to some of these questions, guys, because we have to move ahead as well. Because we have to obviously look at the time as well. There's a lot to cover, so please be a little patient. Most likely, I'll answer some of these questions as we go along. If not, please keep them handy towards the end for the Q&A section, please. All right, so low barrier to entry, one of the biggest benefits. The other really big one is that there's absolutely no inventory or shipping required. So you don't have to have a warehouse, you don't have to buy products in advance, you don't have to store them anywhere, because all of it is being done by the supplier who is somewhere else. So no shipping, you don't have to manage a warehouse, like I said. So again, no warehouses or inventory management issues that you have to deal with. Again, because it's a completely online model, it can be operated from just about anywhere. So no inventory, no warehouse, you can run it from anywhere in the world. So it's like one of those dream jobs that you have, like you can travel all over the world selling products, although it's not as dreamy because it does require a lot of hard work, at least to get started with. It's not something that you can just jump in and become successful. All of these successful stores, and I'll show you a lot more going forward, had to go through failures multiple times before they found the product that was really working for them. And it's not just about the product, it's also about setting up the proper funnel. How do you reach out to people? How do you create your branding? How do you really speak to the right audience, and what you speak to them? So all of that requires a lot of time and effort in the beginning, because starting off a business, obviously there will be challenges involved, but yes, once you can get to that point, it works very, very well. All right, Looks like there's a question again. Georgie says rupees 900 is what we pay for Shopify. No, the 900 what I put over here was only for buying a domain name. I'll come to that. So I said, I'll mention why 900. Actually, you can get started for free as well if you're not keen on buying a specific domain name, but don't worry. I'll talk about this, don't worry. All right, one other benefit, it's easy to scale. Once your store is operational, you can add other products or you can increase the number of orders that you're taking. Because again, this is something that that depends on your supplier. To be honest, you can work with multiple suppliers too if you want. So it's extremely easy to increase the number of orders that you have, and you can scale up these orders up to as many times as you need. And most often, you don't even have to hire additional employees. But again, the couple of stores that I showed you, they have, they're not individual people. They have, for example, BlendJet works with a team of about 3 other people who kind of help manage the inventory a little bit better and look at customer satisfaction and so on. Let's also talk about some of the drawbacks. I think I would change disadvantage to drawbacks, because obviously there are some things, some challenges that you face. No businesses are without challenge, right? I mean, you cannot just jump in and get started and be profitable straight away. So what are some of the challenges you will find? So obviously, dropshipping isn't all roses and rainbows. Although it is one of the easiest and the most lucrative and the most attractive models to get started with, it does require a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, because if you watch Marvel's Spider-Man movies, you know that with great power comes great responsibility. So with great convenience and with great flexibility comes a price as well. So you'll have to look at that as well. So let's talk about that. One of the biggest reasons, one of the biggest problems that you face, especially when you are early on into the business, is low margins. So low margins are one of the biggest disadvantages. You just saw a couple of brands I showed you, they were selling at 5 times or 10 times the price. Well, those are kind of exceptions, but as you get started initially, when your brand isn't that well known, people aren't aware of your brand, you're competing with a lot of other brands who are probably promoting the exact same product. So in order to beat them, you don't have a brand built up at that point in time. So the only way you can beat them is on price, and therefore you lower the price. The problem is others kind of tend to react similarly. If you have a low price, they will also lower the price. So the margins tend to be a little low. But again, that's something you face only in the beginning. Once your brand begins to develop, once your brand becomes a known name, then you can basically control the pricing to a much better extent. So this is more like a challenge, not really a drawback or a disadvantage. Like I said, because it's so easy to get started and overhead costs are almost none, you'll find that a lot of other people, a lot of other merchants setting up their own stores and selling that exact same item at rock bottom prices. This kind of ties into the previous challenge which I mentioned. So in an attempt to grow the revenue, once again, if I'm starting off a store and I know that I have absolutely zero investment into it, so I can lower the prices as much as possible with the least amount of profit. That creates a lot of negative competition, to be honest, and that is something that you will face definitely in the beginning. And guys, do keep checking the chat for some links that are being posted for you guys. Inventory issues. This is kind of something that's easily managed. It's just that you have to be actively in touch with your supplier. For example, let's say somebody bought from your store, but then the supplier tells you that, you know what, we cannot ship anymore because we have run out of the items. That's actually easily avoidable if you are regularly in touch with the supplier, and just let the supplier or just tell the supplier to give you an idea of how much inventory does he have on every single day. That will make it easy for you. So one of the easiest ways to actually solve this problem, it's not even a problem, it's something that you just have to be aware of, is that when we work with these suppliers, we tell them right in the beginning, let me know how many products can you ship every single day, and you only take that many orders. That's it. So that's something that just have to be aware of. Of course, if you're working with multiple suppliers, it can be a little bit of a challenge. So when somebody buys from you, and if you have multiple suppliers, willing to ship the same product, you just have to have somebody who can manage this for you in a certain time. Hiresh says, what delivery time can we commit to the supplier based on this model? Hiresh, it actually depends on the supplier. There are suppliers who are able to ship really, really fast. You can check. So whenever you go to any of these suppliers, read their reviews. Reviews are something that will help you know how fast they ship. So there are people called gold suppliers, for example, on Alibaba, AliExpress, and so on. And these guys are able to ship within a single day. So you have to basically speak to them for this. One other thing you need to remember is that don't just think about shipping to India.
I think the speaker has maybe dropped off or something, maybe a power cut or something. Let's just give him a few minutes to join back. Please be patient with us while we're internally checking with
My
the
apologies,
speaker.
guys. I hope you can hear me again.
Yes, Chandan, thank you.
Sorry, I think there was a internet fluctuation. Normally doesn't happen. Anyway, so yeah, I was talking about the timing. So yes, it depends on the supplier. So please, speak to the supplier before you actually get started. You will find reviews on their site itself. And one thing, like I said, was don't just constrain yourself to shipping in India itself, because right now there are some challenges from products being shipped from China to India. So again, you can either opt for other dropshippers who are not based out of China. I'll show you, I'll give you some of those names as well. And there are, and like I said, you don't constrain yourself shipping just to India, because these suppliers can ship to all over the world. The two examples I gave you, BlendJet and others, they ship all over the world actually. And a lot of these suppliers have stores in prominent countries like Australia, USA, UK, and so on. So shipping from those locations to countries nearby would be actually much faster. So again, shipping is not really a challenge, to be honest. And then they all provide electronic tracking methods as well. So absolutely no problems. All right. So I think supplier errors, again, this is something that is a challenge that you have to be aware of right in the beginning. What you just need to do is ensure that you're working with some of the best suppliers, commonly known as gold suppliers. In cases like those, there will not be a problem at all. Now, this is where Shopify comes into picture. Okay, Shopify is a platform that people use to build their online stores. And if I jump back to my browser, all these examples which I showed you a couple of minutes ago, BlendJet, for example, and Hazel Kiskin, these are all Shopify-based stores. How do you know if a store is built on Shopify? Simple, just right-click on their website, anywhere, click on View Page Source, and just search for Shopify. And there you go. You can find the Shopify word being mentioned like 25 times on the site. This is clearly a Shopify-based site. So this is where, like I said, now that you know what dropshipping is, Shopify is one of the best platforms to get started with dropshipping, because Shopify is one of the most complete e-commerce, e-commerce platforms that have come, that have really happened in the past some time. Setting up a store with Shopify is a piece of cake, no coding required. It has absolutely everything that you need to get started. So we will quickly go through some of the things that make Shopify such a useful platform for you. If you want to get started with drop shipping using Shopify, it's easy to find what your niche is, what products you want to sell, whether you want to drop ship within India or other countries, how to find a drop shipping company, and then setting up all of your store. Now there are links. Georgie, I'll talk about the commissions, so don't worry. We'll just take a look at that. But yeah, there are links where obviously this is not a course on Shopify. I would love to show you how to really build your own store, just like the couple of examples which I showed you, just something like BlendJet or Hey Silky Skin. But that is, of course, something that will be a part of the course, and the links are being shared for you guys in the chat. So let's look at Shopify quickly. And before we do that, like I said, I do have names of dropshipping suppliers, both India and abroad. So if you want to work with, or if you want to drop ship, then the important suppliers in India are going to be IndiaMart, Trade India, Deodap, and Dropship Zone. Again, these links will be provided along with the presentation. I'll be sharing that as well, so should not have a problem. But Fulia is again one of them. And if you talk about international dropshipping suppliers, again, there are a bunch of them: Alibaba, Salehu, Toba, Wholesale 2B, Worldwide Brands, Wholesale Central, Sunrise Wholesale. So these are from all over the world. So again, dropshipping can be done from a lot of other countries as well. Okay, so I gave you a couple of examples already. Here's one more. I said, if you're talking about a success story, somebody had asked about this. Wayfair is an example of a generic brand that does it so very well. In fact, there's an article that was covered in Inc. itself. Wayfair's road to $1 billion, how they actually got to this point. So this is a very interesting read. Again, if you're interested, just search for this. Search for this online. Wayfair's road to $1 billion. Put Inc. in the search query as well, and find this really interesting article. So again, I'll leave that to you guys. BlendJet is an example I already showed you, and let's quickly talk about product selection. Okay. So I'll go through this very quickly, and this is for those who are now looking at Shopify and drop shipping and are like, okay, how do I, it looks very interesting, but then what kind of a product to go for? How do I really pick a product? So let's quickly go through this process as well of how would you select a product. So finding winning products. There are, of course, a lot of tools that you can use to find some of these winning products. There are sites like Dropship Spy, Ecom Hunt, Ali Shark, and our evergreen Facebook. Now these tools, you can just go online. Once again, all of these tools are covered in the actual Shopify course, where we go through the whole process of using these tools to find interesting tools. What these sites do is they basically show you some of the hottest products from the point of view of drop shipping right now. Which products are working really well, which are the different stores selling it, what kind of margins, what kind of profits they are making. So if you're really wondering about what products to go for, one of these sites would be really good. Dropship, Spy, Ecom Hunt, Ali Shark, they're actually paid, but you can sign up for a trial if you want, and basically use it to hunt for your products. But if nothing else, Facebook works very, very well. I'll quickly give you a live demo of this as quickly as I can. So if I simply go to my own Facebook login, for example, and I'm going to use a special plugin, which is, okay, looks like Facebook is introducing something new, but a plugin that allows me to see only ads on Facebook. Okay, so again, I've changed my Facebook just so that I can see, ads on my timeline right now. And why Facebook? Because a lot of these drop shippers use Facebook for running ads a lot. Facebook is one of the best places for building your brands, reaching out to people, and you can clearly see the exact same ad which I just saw a while ago. It's not from BlendJet, it's actually a similar company, but they kind of figured out that I'm interested in portable blenders, and I'm seeing an ad for a similar product. So obviously it looks like this product is doing very well. And if I click on the link, let me close some of the other windows, and looks like this also is pretty much drop shipping. I won't be surprised if they're actually doing drop shipping. It does look like drop shipping. Okay, in fact, this is also a Shopify site. You can see this right at the bottom, right? So it's just because Shopify makes it so easy for you to get started. Let's look at the second one, like second ad. It is some sort of a photo gear. You know what? I don't know what this is, but I'm going to bet that this is also a Shopify and dropshipping product. Let's open this. And this is called Covered. I don't even know how this is pronounced, but looks like a Shopify store for sure. Right click, view page source, Control or Command F, search for Shopify, and I find 151 mentions of Shopify. This is a Shopify store as well. And this product must be doing really well, and that is why ads are being shown. This is okay. Look at this. We're talking about drop shipping, and there's somebody trying to teach me drop shipping. These are called this should give you something really interesting to understand, that with Facebook, for example, it's really easy to reach out to the right audience if you can find them, or if you know how to use it. This guy definitely knows that he's not showing this ad randomly to me. He knows that I'm somehow interested in drop shipping. Well, surprise, surprise, but he's able to reach out to me, and that's all thanks to Facebook. So obviously there's an e-commerce marketing class, which is also a part of the training. The links are being shared to you in the chat, where you'll also learn how to not just launch your site, but also make sure that you reach out to the right people with the right message. This is, I think, a generic ad on, look at this. Another blender. Looks like these products are really doing very well. This is the third blender related company which I'm seeing right now. This is something else. Hazel Kiskin, look at this, remarketing, right? I just saw their site and now they're trying to show me the ad. This is called remarketing. They know that I showed some interest in their product and now they're running ads for me. Perfect. Facebook is great for reaching out to the right target audience, to be honest. Dropshipping made simple. Look at this. Somebody else trying to teach me dropshipping as well. Here is another product called Flash Gaming. I'm going to bet that this is a Shopify store as well. I won't check this, but again, so the idea of this looks like another Shopify one. Let's just check one last item here quickly. Okay, just by one look, I can bet that this is a Shopify site. Right click, view page source. There you go, Shopify everywhere. So you can see how popular Shopify is now. Clearly, bunch of these ads which I'm seeing, this hammock, I'm going to bet this is Shopify as well. Debeautify is actually a theme for Shopify. Ecom Hunt, remember this? I just showed you. I just talked about this. Ecom Hunt. There you go. So this is basically two important things that you're seeing right now. The power of Facebook in reaching out the audiences, right audiences, of course, as well as how popular Shopify is. I think 90% of the ads that I saw were all based on dropshipping and Shopify. All right, let's move out of it now. All right, so that's it. Like I said, we will actually be going through the whole process, in the courses that the links are being shared for. We'll spend a lot of time working on the product, seeing if they are going to be profitable, seeing what other guys are doing, seeing what the competition is making out of it, getting a rough idea of how the competition is kind of working. I'll give you a nice little tip though, if somebody is already doing dropshipping or interested in this. If you want to see if a product is actually working well or not, go to facebook.com/ads/library. Okay, facebook.com/ads/library, and then find the just go to search all first, and then type in the name of a brand. For example, I could search for BlendJet right here, right? And if I open this, I can find this. Now, what this tool allows me to do is see if a specific brand is running ads or not. Okay, you can even choose different countries. Right now, India is there, but I can see these are the ads which have been running by being run by BlendJet. Now, the logical assumption is if they have been running ads for a really long time, which it looks like a lot of ads. So if they've been running so many ads, obviously they must be profitable, right? They're not just blowing money on ads. Because people would run the ads for some time, and if they are not profitable, they would actually stop it. But if they have been running it for such a long time, then obviously they are actually doing well with this. Plus, not just India, you can see whether which all countries they are running ads. You can go to all if you want. So that's a big list actually. So they've been running these ads all over the world, and if that is something they're doing, the product must really be profitable. So this is a good tip or a trick, whatever you want to call it, by going to Facebook Ads Library and checking out how exactly these products are doing. So that's kind of a good way to check this. Let's go back into it, to the presentation, of course, right? And We'll briefly talk about this really interesting thing here. So I also have a list where you can check all Shopify stores sorted by Alexa rank. It's actually a link. So instead of going through all one by one, I will give this list to you. You can check out a lot of these stores. I'm not saying just copy some of these successful stores, no, but go ahead and take a look at them, get some inspiration, and try to see if you can do something like this yourself. Again, I know there's going to be a lot of questions around drop shipping and how to set up Shopify. But again, this webinar is meant to kind of get you introduced to all the possibilities that you have. And then going forward, we will obviously talk about in the actual course links that have been sent to you. We'll do all of this step by step. So we'll start from scratch, and at the end of it, you will have a store that is ready to go, live and ready to make profits, just like the couple of examples which I showed you. But yeah, let's go with thinking about some product selection ideas. This is for anybody who's looking to get started with Shopify and dropshipping. So very common question, what product should I go for? Should I go for this or that? What should be the price and all that stuff? Let me give you a very simple example to clear all of this up and to give you some solid foundation on how exactly you pick a product. Okay, so take an example here. What do you think would be easier to sell? A mobile phone cover versus exercise bike? Let me know in the chat quickly in the questions panel. Which of these two products do you think would be easier to sell? Georgie says cover. Okay, that looks like the most obvious choice, right? Cell phone cover, easy, cheap, everybody wants it, easier to sell, right? Perfect. So looks like all of you are right on this. I mean, at least those who responded: Georgie, Elizabeth, Atul, Sneha, we got Rajesh. All of us are on the same page, right? Perfect. So, and I think some of the reasons, I'm not sure if exactly that's what you thought, but some of the reasons behind that might be some of this. Cell phone cover is easy to ship. It's got a huge demand, of course. Plus, you're limited to so many options, right? Multiple versions of the cell phone cover. It's also inexpensive, so people won't think twice before ordering a cover, right? And when it comes to the exercise bike, it's large, difficult to ship, right? It's obviously less in demand, at least compared to mobile phone covers, right? It's obviously expensive, and therefore will have a less market. So these are all in favor of the cell phone cover, right? So the obvious winner is the cell phone cover, right? Okay, drum roll here, because that's not the case, right? You just cannot look at a mobile phone cover or something. I mean, the reasons most of you probably thought we're on the right track, but there's a big caveat here, okay? In fact, somebody just mentioned this in the chat. Who was that? Manoj. And not Manoj, it was somebody else. I think somebody else just mentioned something. Yeah, Manoj it was. Whether easy to sell or profitable, okay? So let's talk about that. That was a very good point, Manoj. So you can give yourself a pat on the back, please, or ask somebody else to do it for you. But yeah, that was a very valid point. Let's let's do some quick maths right here and show you why or why not. Yeah, Manoj is really happy. He says, hey, all right, great. Okay, let's look at some data here. So let's assume that a cell phone cover sells for $10, right? I think that's a normal price, and an exercise bike would sell for about $2,000, right? Let's assume that you want a profit margin of about 30%, right? So you're making about $3 profit per sale on both of them. You're keeping a profit percentage of 30%. So on each sale of a cell phone cover, you make $3 as your profit. On exercise bike, you make $600 of profit. All right, that looks good. Now, let's say that in order to feel comfortable, in order to feel good, you say that, okay, every month I want a monthly profit of 3,000 in both the cases, right? I think $3,000 a month looks like a good number, right? You can live comfortably with this. So I'm being very kind of normal here, very average. I'm not thinking like billions or millions right now. $3,000 a month, I'm happy. So based on profit per sale that you're working on, you have $3 for cell phone and $600 for exercise bike. How many sales do you need to reach your target monthly profit? You need to sell about 1,000 cell phone covers, but to reach the same $3,000 of profit, you need to sell just 500 exercise bikes, right? So maths is going good so far. So this is what I really want to point out here, right? Cell phone cover is easy to sell, but to get your target monthly profit, you need to sell a huge number of them, right? Exercise bike, you just have to sell 5 and still be able to make the same amount of profit that you would do by selling 1,000 of these cell phone covers, right? So some things to keep in mind very quickly. If you're selling something expensive, you have to sell less of them, therefore less customer service, fewer orders to process, and therefore less room for error. Also remember that e-commerce, you have to drive paid traffic, and you just need a very little amount of paid traffic to reach those goals. And there's some more maths for that I'll show you. And also because there's less competition for something like exercise bike, that paid traffic will also be much cheaper. Okay. So let's talk about the profit and how much you need to like spend on this. Now we know that in order to get our profit of 3,000 per dollars, the target monthly units that you need to sell is 1,000 cell phone covers versus 5 exercise bikes. Let's say that the conversion rate, like out of every 100 people who come to your site, how many people buy? That is called the conversion rate, right? So it's usually on an average about 2.5 to 2% on a good site. So let's say you have a conversion rate of 2.5%. So the traffic you need to hit your target monthly units sold for cell phone cover, you need to send 40,000 people to your website. With exercise bike, you just need to send 200 people. And you just saw on Facebook how you can target just the right person, right? You can find people who are really interested in working out, really interested in buying an exercise bike, and show your ads only to them. So driving 200 of very highly targeted people to your website will not be difficult at all. So what that means then is obviously you're paying less for the traffic, you have to work less, you have to kind of process fewer orders, and by this criteria, exercise bike definitely seems a bit more profitable, right? So again, the whole point was originally almost all of you thought the exact same way, but try to kind of think outside of the box. This example was just done to give an idea of how you would look or think outside of the box. And again, all of this will be covered in much more detail in your in the actual course. But yeah, some pointers very quickly before we end the discussion and go into the Q&A section is, if you're really looking to find winning products, go for products which are high in demand. They must satisfy a need, should have a higher number of potential buyers, because if nobody's looking to buy it, obviously there's no point, right? It should be growing in trend. Obviously, there is Google Trends. You can go in there and search for this. For example, don't go for something that is short-lived. So you can go to trends.google.com. A very good example would be something called a fidget spinner. I remember a couple of years ago, it was all rage, fidget spinners. Everybody was aiming to buy. So many new sites had been set up just to sell fidget spinners. I know so many Shopify sites that came up. But if I look at the interest over the past 5 years, this tells the whole picture, right? Huge jump around 2017, right? And then fizzled out, right? Now, like barely anybody is buying this. So Google Trends will also tell you if this is something that will work for you. If instead of this, you search for, let's say, exercise bike, for example. And if you look at kind of the trend for past 5 years, this is only growing, right? This would be a product that I would definitely love to get in, as opposed to something like a fidget spinner. So Trends is actually a good idea. I think COVID has sparked a lot of interest in exercise bikes. That's a good way to check. There should be existing competition. Remember, if nobody is selling the same product, that product obviously has a problem, and it should be somewhat hard to find, right? If people can just go out of their house and buy it from the shop next door, that product won't be so useful, right? Obviously, high profit per unit is the criteria, not how easy it is to sell, and my maths just proved that to everybody. So profit margins should be high, and like I said, people don't buy products or services. It should solve an existing need or a desire. That's extremely important, right? People buy solutions to their problems. So if you find an existing problem in the market, and if you can think of a product that solves it, go ahead and go into it, because that will never fail. That will never fail at all. And then you should have the ability to expand to other products. For example, if I go into exercise bike, I can go into maybe other exercise or workout products as well. So that is something we can do as well. right? And again, that's where Shopify comes into picture. One of the biggest platforms in the world. No coding required, absolutely easy to set up. You can see some of these numbers. With more than 4,000 employees and more than 135 billion total sales on Shopify, it has easily kind of outshone its competitors like WooCommerce and Magento and so on. It's a piece of cake to work with, to be honest. I'll quickly put on some of the benefits of this. There's nothing to explain here, so I'll just keep it in front of you guys. It's easy to set up, no coding required, it's mobile friendly. You can get hundreds of professionally designed themes which make your site look beautiful. It gives you a 128-bit free SSL certification. It gives you hosting for free. It gives you emails for free. Payment system is extremely simple. It supports some of the most popular payment gateways in the world in a click of a button, right? So on most sites, setting up a payment gateway is a big challenge. With Shopify, one click and you are good to go. There's a seamless checkout process and delivery tracking system built into Shopify. People who are putting something in the carts and not buying, you can show them retargeting ads. So abandoned checkout recovery options are there. It automatically calculates shipping and tax rates for you based on what data you feed it. You can start blogging on it. Blogging is great for upcoming e-commerce brands for increasing brand awareness and for soft selling. Once again, we'll talk about that in the course itself, sure. It has got tons of marketing tools. It has got built-in search engine optimization so that you can rank organically faster and not depend so much on paid ads. You can create discount codes, gift cards. It's fully integrated with social media, email marketing. It gives you advanced analytics, advanced reporting, and you can extend the functionality by going into Shopify App Store. And there are a bunch of applications, most of them free, which you can use to increase or add on more features to your store. Shopify gives you absolutely everything. And to set up a store, all you need is like 1 day. It's something you can get started in just 1 day. That's what makes Shopify so possible. Besides, thanks to, like I said, you can even get started for free because thanks to Shopify's and Digital Vidya's kind of collaboration, you get 60-day of free trial to Shopify. So I'm almost at the end of the presentation. We are all done actually. So one last thing to show before I go into the Q&A section is Shopify. It's easy to get started with. It does give you a free trial, but that's normally for just 14 days. But thanks to the collaboration between Digital Vidya and Shopify, we can give you basically get a 60-day trial, so you can run and operate your store without paying any fees to Shopify for 60 days. So you can launch your store, and 60 days are enough to figure out if your store is going to make profits or not. So again, you can actually get started for free. The only thing you would need is a domain name, right? So heysilkyskin.com, for example, or blendjet.com. And domain names typically cost around $11, about 900 rupees. That's all you have to pay. That's it. Yeah, that's kind of pretty much it. That's the only payment that you need to get started with. Monthly, yes, there is a fee. You have to pay about $28 to begin with, but trust me, those $28 for those $28, how much is that roughly? 2,000 rupees roughly. You get free domain, you get free SSL certificate, 128-bit. You get email marketing. You don't need to buy extra hosting space. All of that in a real world on some other third-party application would cost you more than $28. So that's something that that's what makes Shopify one of the best platforms to get started with, right? That pretty much covers everything that I had to talk about today. Now we can enter the Q&A section. Anything that you want to know about? Samriti says product price mix is applicable for services pricing as well. Definitely. If you're looking at the product price model, yes, you can apply it for services as well. There are a lot of Shopify stores running with SaaS products as well, so that should not be a problem for anybody. Elizabeth says, so if I can send customer details to the supplier for the customer, he has placed an order for the product online, wouldn't I have to wait till I get a bunch of customers' orders for bulk purchase? So Elizabeth, there are a lot of suppliers who would initially be happy to send even a single order. So if you have just launched your store and you're not getting too many sales, which is obviously going to be the case, even if you're getting like 1 or 2 sales a day, that's fine. Suppliers would be happy to send it for you. Although some of the gold suppliers, like I mentioned, will not be happy to work with you if you're just getting 1 or 2 sales. So basically, start off slow by working with some of the smaller suppliers initially, and then once you start to grow, you can move on to better suppliers. So once again, like I said, this is something we'll have to talk about, the whole process of setting it up and going online. We'll talk about it in the actual course itself. Anveshi has a question, a good e-commerce success story running on Shopify. There are lots of them, Anveshi. The one I talked about, Wayfair, just search on Inc. That is one of the good ones. Blendjet is a good example because I've actually been in touch with that guy. His name is Mark. And he has done a good job starting off with drop shipping and now setting up his own, kind of a manufacturing unit. Hey Silky Skin is another good one. There are lots of them. Plus, in this presentation, I have a link to basically a lot of stores which are doing very well. So you can check them out on your own. Any sites to connect with suppliers in India? Atul, I had mentioned that list here in the presentation a while ago. So Bafulia, for example, or India Mart or Trade Zone, there are quite a few. So you will get this, you'll see this in the recording as well. So I went through that slide where I talked about Indian dropshippers. Anveshi, yeah, that's what I meant to as well. Even for services, absolutely no problem. Madhu says, how about patenting our own product? Will they cover that? Will who cover that? I mean, yes, patenting is possible. If you're talking about Shopify, they won't help you patent it. Shopify is just a platform that will help you run it. For patenting, obviously, you have to get in touch with somebody who does the patents for you. So there are a lot of CAs, for example, who will do it for you. So CAs or lawyers, you can get in touch with them. But yes, you can use Shopify for this. Okay, Madhu says, got it. All right. All right, what else? So this is more like, an introduction to what's really possible with Shopify. Of course, like I said, there will be a lot of questions, and once you get into it, you would probably have more questions. For example, how to deal with returns and refunds and all those things. Yes, there is a way to deal with all of that. Unfortunately, not all of that will be possible to cover in just one short webinar, but yes, it's a foolproof model. You can already see brands which are doing very well with this. So absolutely no problem with that. Samriti says, very helpful session. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Samriti. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. And Veshi says, what are the payment gateways that Shopify provides integration with? A bunch of them, almost any possible one that you can think of in Veshi. Be it the big ones like CC Avenue, all of them are there, or even smaller ones like Paytm or cash on delivery. All of it is included in the payment gateway option. Anything that you can think of, it's already there. Atul says, do we need LLP formed in India to run shop on Shopify? If you're doing drop shipping, not really. You can get started without this. But yes, at some point in time, you may want to form an LLP. If you're really looking to set up your brand, if you want to register your brand and stuff, you can. You're welcome, Rajesh. Thank you. Well, all right, guys. So that's pretty much it from my side. If there are no more questions, you're welcome, Raj Lakshmi and Georgie. It's a nice feedback to have, and I really look forward to seeing you guys again in some of the other sections. What is the transaction fee mentioned on the pricing page of Shopify? So obviously, because you're using Shopify, every time a sale happens, there will be a small transaction fee that Shopify will charge only on a sale, not without it. And that's roughly in the range of about 1.5 to 2%. And there are a few different plans for that, so you have to check it out. So please check out the pricing page on Shopify. It will give you all the details you need to have. Well, thank you, Madhuri, for I'm glad you liked the session. Georgie says, if you do more sessions, I hope I'm notified. Well, I hope so too, Georgie. Elizabeth says, thank you, very informative, and I learned a lot because you explained it so well. I wish I had more time, Elizabeth, because when it comes to Shopify, I love this platform. There's so much I could talk about. But yes, look forward to kind of having more sessions with you guys where we can talk about this at length and in much more detail. Can Shopify help in branding? Somebody note, branding is something you have to focus on yourself. And again, this is where digital marketing comes into picture. I showed you some of those ads and so on, right? So yes, you can. We'll talk about that obviously in in the actual class where we also cover a bit of the marketing side of things. So yes, you have got a store now, you're selling, but how do you really reach out to the right people with the right ads, including things like, I have a couple of slides here, Facebook marketing and so on. We'll talk about that. So oops, Facebook, email, Google ads, we'll talk about all of that. Mishi says, any way that you can get in touch with you for further queries? Well, I don't mind sharing my LinkedIn contact with you guys. You can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn if you want. I'm pretty active over there. I won't be sharing my personal details for sure, but LinkedIn is fine. You can connect with me. There you go. You can find me on LinkedIn here. And I probably can just leave this in the chat so you guys can basically connect issues. So if you have any queries on this, yeah, feel free to reach out. So I just sent it to all. Hopefully you can reach out. Georgie, yeah, you got it now. So Manoj says, thoroughly enjoyed. Thanks for sharing the information. I had a good time too, Manoj. A nice audience, good questions, attentive. So yeah, short but sweet section. Definitely loved it. And I'm, like I said, looking forward to have more sessions with you guys for sure.
Thank you,
all right,
Chandan.
so I guess that's it from my side. Thank you so much. Handing it back over to you.
It was an amazing, brilliant, very, very insightful session. Thank you, audience. I hope you guys were able to get some relevant insights and tips today. Also, to know more about the courses being offered, please follow the links shared in the chat below. I quickly also wanted to launch one poll to understand if you're interested to know more about the partner offer, the course that they have. The details will be shared with the partner and they will then get in touch with you. Also, all the attendees will be notified about our upcoming webinars through our social media channels. Therefore, I request everyone to go and follow FutureSkills social media channels, as well as FutureSkills Prime. These courses will be launched on Prime soon, so you will be notified through them as well. Let's give it a few more seconds to collect more responses. Thank you, everyone. I'll just end the poll now. Thank you so much, Chandan. Thank you so much, attendees. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a good day and look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.